Hi, this is Lada from astrolada.com with your June 2018 horoscopes, and this month there is one big event happening in the stars, in the sky. This is Mars going retrograde, and I'm gonna walk you step by step what to do because it's a critical, pivotal period. It can affect you for the next 6-7 months after that. But before I start, just to remind you that on the 27th of May, we're starting a foundational course with me on the 12 houses of astrology, house rulers, planets in houses. You don't need to know any astrology, and it's going to be 6 months, and it's only $200. If you get on before May 27th, you get $50 off, and after that it becomes $250. It's my most successful course, and I hope you enjoy it. But otherwise, Mars, and I'm doing the same intro for all the 12 signs because I want to explain first how Mars works before it goes retrograde. And Mars goes retrograde once every 2.5 years. It's a very rare influence, but especially when Mars has gone retrograde in Aquarius like 40 years ago the last time. So the opportunities and the changes in your life that can happen now will affect you in a way that they haven't affected that they haven't been like for 40 years, almost like 40 or 50 years actually. 1971 or something, Mars went retrograde in the same place. And what does it mean to Mars go retrograde? It goes retrograde towards the end of the month. It means that Mars will be closest to Earth. From our perspective, it becomes a super bright red angry star in the sky. It means it's very strong. A retrograde planet being so much closer to Earth has its influence overpowering. So basically it will be like a boot camp of Mars energy for us for about 2-3 months while Mars is retrograde. And the most intense period is when Mars is changing direction. So this is happening in June and then again in August, towards the end in August. So from the middle of June till the end of June, it's going to be super intense time for many of us in specific areas of their life. So basically Mars till now was moving forward. Just imagine it's like you're driving, you're sailing with your ship in the journey of life forward, and you're kind of doing it on automatic. And you reach to some point. This is Mars. Mars is our actions, how we move forward, how we proceed. And often, you know, when you're driving a car and you're always on the same road, you kind of zone out and you do it automatically. This is when Mars moves direct. There are no surprises, things go according to your expectations. But now Mars slows down at the end of June. From the middle of June it slows down, the end of June it makes a roundabout and starts tracking back in the first 10 degrees of Aquarius again. So it means like almost like you reach a point here, you're driving your car and now there is a blockage. So something happens in your life that will require you to change direction in regards to your actions, in regards to the path you're walking down on. And when you're driving normally, you don't think much, it's automatic. But when when there is a blockage or you have to find a different road, you have to use a lot more of your willpower and a lot of more concentrated and focused thought, because now you're not on automatic. You have to find different solutions, you have to look for a different path, you have to fix some problem. That's what happens when Mars starts slowing down around that period, from the middle of June till maybe till the end of June. And it will require you to be a lot more conscious and present with using Mars energy. And Mars energy is moving forward, or your assertiveness, how you do things, your initiatives and activities. You can't just proceed on automatic. You have to be way more careful, way more contemplative, way more map out each step carefully, because you can make a mistake, or you can somehow hurt yourself, or you can otherwise, if you just continue like before, you can't reach the journey that you're supposed to go on. So there will be this slowing down and starting to move backwards, which means we'll slow down. Something happens here from the middle of June till the end, some crisis situation usually, or something that you hit some wall. And you have to change your direction of action. You have to change your plan games. You have to be prepared to be more flexible. And when Mars moves retrograde, it acts more like its second ruler, like Scorpio. Because when Mars moves direct, it acts more like Aries. Aries is move forward, let's initiate things, let's move ahead, very spontaneous, very, almost without thinking action. But when it starts moving backwards, it gets the energies of Scorpio more. So it means like we have to be much more strategic, much more planning, much more patient. Mars in Scorpio is patient and careful and maneuvers carefully. We have to use our willpower with way more precision, and we have to engage the willpower way more than at other times. Than we normally engage it. So it's intense period. But the ultimate goal of this Mars retrograde will be to basically help you fix some situation that is not healthy in your life or that's not productive. It's the ultimate goal is to teach you to use your Mars energy, which is initiative, assertiveness, courage, in a more productive way. If you're someone who is overly angry, something will happen here to show you that you cannot continue like that. If you're overly bossy or pushy or assertive, you'd have to reevaluate your martial behaviors, maybe apologize to people, fix something due to your impulsive energies before. Or because some actions that you've done before which were not with so much thought. Or if you're someone who has lower energy of Mars, so who is not assertive, who allows others to take advantage of them, who is not initiative, again you'd have to reevaluate your Mars behaviors, and you might have to confront those people that are blocking you from being, that are scaring you from being assertive, and you have to assert yourself. You have to, so that's why a lot more fights happen, a lot more arguments while you're readjusting the level of your Mars energy, how you initiate things, how you move forward in life, how you fight for what you believe, so all those things we're going to talk about them one by one. And Marina is doing a webinar on Mars retrograde as well in June. You can check, it's very cheap, I think it's $20 only. You can check her webinar as well, and there's a link below, and join her as well to see personally how it's going to affect you, because those predictions that I do, they're more general. They don't see specifically in your horoscope, but in that webinar she'll show you how to do it. So how are Aries specifically affected by this Mars going retrograde? Especially intense from the middle of June till the end of June. Well, Mars will go retrograde in your 11th house, and for you it's especially important, Aries, because you are ruled by Mars. So you have to be, everything that I mentioned in the intro, you have to be especially applies to you, because Mars is you. So you have to navigate much more cautiously, not like the Aries ways that we're used to. Come on, let's rush, let's do that. No, you have to reevaluate your steps. You have to replan, be more careful, and especially your whole life can feel like it's changing direction, because the planet that rules you is changing direction. It's like starts to move backwards now. So the winds of change are so powerful for Aries. And the kind of like almost like you have to stop and take a different direction. Something happens again, as I said, and especially very likely it will happen in regards to your 11th house, where Aquarius is, where Mars is basically going retrograde. And the 11th house, thankfully, is a kind of a more friendly house in regards to hosting Mars, let's say. What is 11th house? Well, first of all, it's your friendships. So maybe there might be some critical point that happens in your relationship with friendships from the middle to the end of June, that they have to be reevaluated, that you have to decide whether to leave certain friends or to remove them from your life. There might be some more power struggles with friends, for example, some fight that happens with friends. I remember when Mars went retrograde in my 11th house, I had a big kind of tense situation with my best friend, and she was going also through a hard period. Of course, we sorted it out, because the retrograde period doesn't want you to just break relationships, friendships in particular, which it just wants you to correct your actions towards your friends. And I felt very regretful that I was kind of dismissive, and I started being more careful and cautious with my friends. But for everyone, it can play out in a different way when Mars goes retrograde in your 11th house areas, There might be, maybe you need to become more assertive with friends and stand your ground, and something critical happens towards the end of June that points you in that direction, or in your social environment basically. My 11th house is also people that are in a social environment. They can be friends or colleagues, you know, it's very social house, so it's other people. There might be some power struggle or fight that happens between you and other people of some sort, and that makes you change and having to fix that. So be cautious, you know, the forewarned warrior is a forearmed warrior, as they say. And the 11th house is also to do with your goals in life, long-term goals that you've been working for a long time with personal efforts. It's the house of our dreams and wishes, you know, and now Mars will go retrograde there. So maybe you're going down, following some goal of yours on that path, and you reach some dead end, or you reach the end of the rope, so to speak, and you realize that you have to retrace your step backs and go and fix something. Maybe you didn't do it right when you were following your goal, so maybe you need to put some extra effort and conscious willpower to work on some socio-economic goal, which is the 11th house as well. So maybe you might have to put more willpower and more energy, which is what Mars is, more cautious energy, and fix some problems in regards to some socio-economic goal. It might be a financial goal of yours. It might be a something that you might be going after. You want as the final result to receive some title or honor or recognition, or to bring out some product on the market, or whatever it is. You need to there'll be some complications that you need to go back, fix it, and then start moving forward again from the end of August, but because you use so much more willpower and so much more effort, the results are usually 3 times more lasting, but the demand for energy is 3 times higher as well. So watch out for all those things, my Aries friends. I'm Aries as well. Hopefully this prepares you for that. And again, I believe that by the end of this process you'll be able to have a lot more, maybe achieve some more gains in your life, because 11th house also rules gains, because you put a lot more willpower in it. But maybe you have to put on hold, or to prepare a bit better when Mars is retrograde, when it starts moving retrograde. So the final result of this goal that you want to achieve, which is the 11th house, is different. It's going to be different than what you expected. You have to retrace your step, as I said. And that's the most important thing. I don't want to speak about other things, because they're kind of, all the other planets are, maybe I can say that Venus from the second part of the month will move into Leo, so from the 15th approximately, and Leo is your 5th house, so at least you'll be able to have some fun while also preparing and tightening the sails of your ship before the storm hits when Mars goes retrograde. So you'd have some relief, which is what Venus is, the second part of June, while you're able to have more romantic experiences, 5th house, when you're gonna be able to have a bit more fun the second part of June, when you're able to enjoy yourself a bit more, and if you're single, even go on a few enjoyable dates. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next month.